Hi, I'm Vic Bearcroft, and today I'm going to show you a nice quick way of doing a very satisfying, almost like an illustration type sketch of our cat, one-eyed cat CJ, using graphite pencil, coloured pencils on a toned paper. So we're going to do a nice little pencil and coloured pencil sketch of CJ here, short for Captain Jack, because he's only got one eye. And we're going to do it on brown toned paper. Now, this makes your sketches a lot softer, I think. And just using one or two coloured pencils over the top of your graphite pencil sketch can produce something really soft and lovely. Which is less harsh, I suppose, than doing a coloured pencil sketch on white paper. Anyway, what I've done is I've sketched out the proportions from my original photograph of CJ here, and triangles for the ears, lines and angles to get the shape of the face and so on. And I've started to add a few little details. So what I'll do first of all, before we add any coloured pencil, I'll go back to the graphite. This is a 2B graphite pencil, and just refine some of these details a little bit. So, for example, the eye, get that a little bit straighter. And don't forget, of course, in this technique, anything that goes awry or you don't like, you can always rub it out. So what I do is do a fairly loose representative pencil sketch first, and then we'll put some colour washes over the top of the coloured pencil, and then refine and darken the details after that. So to begin with, what I want to do is sketch in his tabby markings. CJ being a tabby cat. Not too heavily at this point. So the markings above the eyes. Keep it loose, fairly loose and sketchy. You don't need to do a lot of fine detail with this. As long as we get the markings in place. And that's obviously a good reason why we want to sort of put these little lines in first to show where the markings are roughly before we actually shade them a little bit more solidly. And remember, of course, it's just a loose, fun sketch to do. It doesn't have to be highly detailed when you're sketching. I mean, I enjoy sketching anyway, but I think this adds a new dimension to your sketching, not only using the coloured pencils, but using this lovely toned paper. If you don't have this kind of toned paper at home, you can always use a brown wrapping paper or even the back of a brown envelope, something like that. Something with a little bit of tone in. Of course, it doesn't have to be brown. You can have a grey toned paper, anything that comes to hand. It's kind of reminiscent of centuries ago when the likes of Da Vinci used to use sanguine and chalk on toned paper, because it gives a lovely tone to begin with. Let's get his pupil in, so he's looking directly at us. There we are. And then the nostrils, a little bit of shading for the fur line above the nose. Again, we'll sharpen those details up after we've added some coloured pencil to it, and a little mouth. And this is a typical cat's mouth, of course. We've got that lower lip shaped like that, a little bit of shading underneath. And of course, you can try this with any subject. It doesn't have to be CJ, it doesn't have to be a cat. You can try it with other animals, or even a portrait. As I said, it gives a whole new dimension to your sketching using a toned background. So there we are, and a little marking above the eye. And we're sketching the boundary of the tabby fur below the ears. Now, I did say that you can rub some of these lines out once you've done your initial proportion sketch. we might like to leave them in. There's nothing wrong with having these sketch lines left in showing when you finish your sketch. It does tend to make it look a little bit more lively, I think. So again, we'll do additional shading later. Let's round off the ears a little bit and suggest a few ear hairs underneath, and that little join in the base of the ear with the pouch at the back that allows the ear to bend. Round off this one a little bit, suggest a few hairs, little join at the bottom, and then we'll just loosely sketch in a shadow in the neck, and have the light coming from the right hand side on this one. So this is going to be my shadow side. Again, very lightly sketching a hint of the tabby stripes. And along here. And we'll start to add a little bit of colour on this. So, colour wise, I've got a sort of purple, I guess crimson more than purple. Touch of crimson for inside the ears. And again, I'm doing it fairly lightly. Don't want to overload it with colour. And the reason for that is, of course, we want some of that warmth of the brown paper to show through. And again on this of course is where we have hardly any fur inside the ears, so you'll see the pink flesh. Give it a little rub with your finger if you want to soften it off a tiny bit more. We use the same for his nose. The nose pad there. Again, gently shade it in. We don't want any of this to be too heavy. A nice light soft sketch. Then we'll do the eye. So I'm using, this one is actually sort of olive green. Use that as the base colour for the eye. I'm going to leave just a little hole there for the reflection. And I can, using a soft white pencil, I can go over the olive green to get a reflection, but I want it to be fairly crisp. So I'm going to leave a little hole there just for that. Shade it in lightly. There we've got the white of the eye, so that doesn't need to be coloured. Nice soft shading. And then we have sort of two tones in the tabby fur. First of all, we have this sort of ochre. This is a brown ochre. And we can use that for the pale tabby bits, such as the nose. Take that right up into the forehead. Keep it quite flat. You don't need to do fur texture, remember. And then below the eye. Around the pale cheeks. So the CJ is our latest rescue. It was a farm kitten. Unfortunately, had to have one of his eyes removed, but hasn't stopped him being a normal cat. Or a normal kitten. He's still a kitten. He's very playful, very confident, and he doesn't realise he's only got one eye, of course. It kind of makes him a little bit special in our eyes. And of course, one of my favourite things, as some of you will know, is drawing and painting cats. We have no shortage of models in the house. Currently, as of April 2020, we have 13, including CJ. A bit of the pale tabby fur, and again around the neck. Again, it's important if you're using this tone paper to let the tone paper work for you as well. Don't flood it with colour. Let some of that warmth come through. And then we have the slightly darker tabby fur, and I'm just going to use a sort of umber brown for that, cool brown, around the base of the ear, on the edge of the ear there. And then of course I'm going to use this on top of that to get on top of the brown ochre to get a hint of the two-tone. There we go, keeping it fairly flat, a little bit in the forehead as well. And if you want to soften it, you can rub it in with your finger or a little bit of kitchen paper or something like that. But if you do it nice and light like this, using the edge of the pencil, then there's probably no need. There's nothing wrong with seeing a little bit of texture in there. So the shadow parts around the eye and along the back of the neck. Keep it nice and loose. Remember, it's a sketch, so the edges can be nice and loose. See how I've left these original pencil marks in? They don't detract from it as far as I'm concerned. They actually add a little bit of energy to your sketch. So now I'm going to use white. So if I use white, for example, the pale bits around the eyes, if I just put a little bit of the brown ochre in first, then I can use white over the top just to lighten that up a little bit. So you can add colour over colour, just make a sort of pale creamy version of that, a little bit of pale or soft white over his cheeks and the chin. If you don't do this too heavy as before, then the brown tone paper will help to soften the white. As always, what I always recommend, whatever medium you're using, is err on the side of caution. Don't do too much too soon. Allow yourself a little bit of room to manoeuvre. So put some light layers on. You can always add more if it needs it. A little bit of slightly more pale over the top of the eyes, the eye I should say, and then inside the ear. So we're going to do some crisp highlights on this shortly, but what I want to do first is go back to the 2B graphite and strengthen and darken some of the finer details. So around the eyelid, the corner of the eye, the pupil, the lower rim, which was nice and crisp. Corners of the eyes, and then we'll do the nose, sharpen the nostrils a little bit, down into the tiny little mouth and the bottom lip, and then we can shade in some of the tabby markings a little bit more, a bit heavier. Especially those around the face. It's the face that we're interested in more than anything, I think. Just made them a little bit darker. I do actually love the combination of graphite and coloured pencils. I think it does, whatever surface you're using, be it toned or be it white cartridge paper, it does add a lot of softness to your sketches. The final few markings around the forehead, above the eye. And then I'm just going to darken the tabby fur just below the ears by shading over that colour gently to the side of our 2B graphite pencil. And this helps to sort of grey off that brown umber that we used. And then down the forehead. Just use the side of the pencil. Use it like a coloured pencil, just to add a bit more tone, slightly greyer brown and so on. A little bit above the tip of the nose, and again around this side. And it's quite a good way of suggesting tabby coloured fur. So if you do have any cats at home, you want to try this, then as always, with these tutorials, feel free to have a go and post it on my Facebook page. All the details for that are coming up at the end. A little bit of shading around the ears. I would love to see what you come up with. And then we'll do some final highlights. So I'm going to use a white coloured pencil. This is just an ordinary coloured pencil here. I'm going to add a little bit of pressure, so I'm holding onto the board here, so the light is coming from the right hand side. We're going to add a nice sharp highlight around the edge of the ears. We'll put a few hairs inside the ear at the same time, and around the edge of the face. I'm keeping it sketchy. I'm not worried about doing individual hairs around the edge. Just get a nice impact highlight. Just press a little bit harder to get that impact. So a little look, and then we'll try and get that reflection in using a nice sharp point on your white pencil. Remember, if you want fine details, if you want stronger tones with coloured pencils, make sure the point is always sharp. You can't do that so much with a rounded point. Final little bit of sharpening on the shadow side with the graphite pencil. There we have it. Nice little coloured pencil sketch, which you can do with your own pets, your own cats, dogs, or a person, whatever you like, using graphite and coloured pencils on toned paper. Put a few whiskers in to finish with. So there we are. That's CJ. Nice little sketch for you to have a go at. And don't forget, there is a competition link to this, details of which can be found on my Facebook page, which is coming up on the screen very shortly. Do subscribe to my YouTube channel for more upcoming tutorials, some which you can have a go at with material sets and so on. So hope you've enjoyed it, and we'll see you next time.